Yes, here we go. It is time for the P.M.P. Terry joins me as always for the Post Match show. It was Celtic 2, Dundee United 0. It was an interesting game for many reasons. It was loads to get through, and we will be doing so over the next half an hour. Remember, do all that good stuff before we get kicked off. He's a like, he's a share, buy here, fucking all that. What else is it? Hit the subscribe button, hit the bell, piesports.com, tasty pastry treat, bus 1888 at the checkout. I think that's enough. A Bhoycie Bus membership, of course, like so many of you are, like Danish, like Ali, like Pam, like Teresa Lyle Media, like Gary Brown, Jim C. There's loads of these in there. It's $1.99 a month. It helps keep the wheels on the road, but there's no pressure to do it because there's nothing extra you get for it. Anyway, Terry, midweek game, home again. I think that's been 2 games at home. Then we had Ibrox and 2 games at home. So we've had 4 out of the last 5 at Celtic Park. We've took maximum points. Have we conceded a goal? I don't think so.
We've scored 13. We've conceded none. So we've 4-0, 4-0, 3-0, 2-0.
Oh, he had it written down, didn't he? He had that written down. He must have. How are you, big man?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Freezing, actually. That's why I'm up in the house. Minus temperatures here today, so we've been absolutely froze for 3 days. And I think you have to take that into account a wee bit as well, because the freezing conditions tonight, the freezing conditions on Sunday. It's not often you get a run like that of 4 home games in 5, and what it obviously means is at some point we'll either have had or will have a run of away fixtures. But that's fine. We can play away from home and we can get results. But I mean, at times in all of those home games, there's probably been holes that you can pick in the performance. But when you step back at the end of that run of games and you've got that record of 13-4, none against, and you've won them all, it's over festive period where it is cold. It's not a bad set of results, but what it also does is it shines a light on that one anomaly, which was the game against Rangers, where you lose 3 and you do absolutely nothing. But I mean, in terms of tonight's game, a wee bit surprised. Technically we did make a change, but the same lineup was announced as Sunday, which I thought there would maybe. I thought he'd continue to mix it up a wee bit, just given that we played Thursday, Sunday, and now Wednesday, so that's 3 games in less than a week. He's gone with the exact same lineup. Some of that I think will be the manager making a point. Obviously, the Kuhn change was then enforced, so it looks as if he's felt something in his thigh. The manager confirmed that just at the end there, that he felt something in his thigh, and they decided not to take a chance with him. Gave Yang another opportunity, done very little with it. Maeda got another opportunity. For me, didn't do an awful lot with it. Tonight's game was and should have been a lot more comfortable than it was. I think we played better tonight than we did at the weekend. I think there was a real purpose from the off. I thought it was good the first 10 minutes. There was plenty of intensity. With 80% possession across the entire game.
At half time, it was 82 or 83 at half time, Terry.
I know we're usually high, but it's usually 70-30, something like that. But that was massive. That was virtually the same as Barcelona had against us the night that we beat them 2-1. But the longer we got the breakthrough tonight, but the longer it went on without getting the second one, you do start to get a little bit nervy. And Dundee United were starting to come into it just a little bit more as the game went on, and then it took a really good second goal, actually, involving 3 as substitutes. Palma with an exquisite outside of the boot cross. Bernardo makes a nuisance of himself, which allows the ball to break to Maeda, and then an excellent piece of skill from Bernardo to dummy it for Hatate running onto it. I thought it was brilliant. Bernardo was the real architect of that goal without actually touching the ball.
I love it. I love it.
All in all, I thought tonight was decent. The fans had to be patient. They were patient. I hope the manager recognises that the fans were patient. I did hear I don't know if this is what normally happens, but I just felt I heard claps when the ball was being passed backwards, and I don't know if that was because I was because there were actually some sarcastic claps. But anyway, I hope he was happy with the patience. I hope he was happy with any of the songs and chants that were sang, and I think over the whole piece, reasonably happy.
Yeah, I would agree, reasonably happy. I think an interesting point you make right at the top there was that there seemed to be more purpose, more speed, more intensity. Ironically, this is the lowest win that we've had, and yet we did. I totally agree with you, by the way. We did seem to be playing more in the front foot. There did seem to be more energy in the team. There did seem to be zipping the ball about a lot quicker. It seemed like we wanted to get from A to B, in half the time that we were looking to get from those letters, in the previous match. I find it interesting that we didn't capitalise on that, score more goals. But I think that's just one of those days, to be honest with you, where I think on another day, this could have been one of the 4-0s easily. And it would have probably looked more warranted than maybe some have felt, if that makes sense. Because some of them have just coasted to 4-0s. I mean, that even being a sentence, it shouldn't be allowed, you know what I mean? But it has been, that's been the way this season with Celtic, particularly at home. But talking about that speed, that intensity, I wonder if we pick the same team and then, whether he likes it or not, the manager, that message of the boos or the groans, I think is the agreed word we're going to use, right, for the back passing that we've seen at the weekend, it's undeniably had an effect. It's undeniably got into his psyche and has became part of the tactic tonight was not to do it. So, see, to be honest with you, if you pissed them off a wee bit, it's worked. Because Celtic were definitely playing in more of an attractive manner and more of the manner we would want to see us with that sort of, as I say, driving energy that we were maybe lacking a wee bit at the weekend. Albeit it was a 3-0 win, which is more than we won by today. We get the first goal from Maeda. But up to that point, it was the Arnie Engels show. And I think, to be honest with you, a lot of the 80 minutes that he played was the Arnie Engels show. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Terry, out of the 4 games, am I right in thinking he's been man of the match 3 of them?
No, 4.
Is it 4 out of 4?
Yeah, I think it's all 4. I might be wrong. Somebody can correct me, but I might be wrong because I think on the post match on Sunday I said that he had got man of the match in the 3 games that surrounded the Rangers game. So I think those 4 home matches, I think he's got stadium man of the match all 4 games. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we'll find out. I'm sure someone will correct us in the chat if that isn't right. I thought it was 3 out of 4, but maybe it is 4.
It could be.
It could be astonishing.
Didn't Kun score 2 on Sunday, but no, I think he is coming onto a game, and
he's coming onto a game and then some, mate.
Just come back to the. I mean, supporters aren't stupid. They might not have their UEFA coaching licenses, but they're not stupid. They know football, and people know that passing the ball backwards to retain possession in scenarios is the right thing to do. I don't think anybody is saying they're annoyed about backward passing. It's about the speed that it's happening. It's about the intensity that it's happening. It's about your 2 centre backs walking and just passing it from side to side to side to side at walking pace and back to the keeper and getting free kicks on the edge of the other team's box. 3 out of 4 there. So I've given him an extra one that he didn't get. But getting free kicks close to your opponent's goal and working the ball back to your goalkeeper and things like that. I think some of the comments were an insult to supporters to say that you don't know the game. Supporters are very knowledgeable about the game and they know what they see. And nobody has a problem with the ball going backwards. It's the intensity and the speed and the purpose. You know,
the purpose. That's the word I've used.
I think purpose is the right word. When it's done with the purpose, it's completely different.
No, I think you're absolutely spot on to say that, Terry. And you're right, the supporters definitely don't need coaching badges to be able to give judgment on what they're watching in front of them on a football park, especially those that have paid all the money that they have. That sort of backdrop has not gathered pace, but wasn't exactly a fire that was put out yesterday by the manager. But I do find it interesting then that the style seemed to actually become, well, if there were groans, what the groans were about. seemed to be eradicated tonight. So either way, I think it was a win-win. Engels was in the midst of all of that tonight. He was getting shots off on goal. Some of his wee first touch passes and layoff sort of type passes, but absolutely outstanding. I don't just think he's coming onto a game, Terry. I think he's been undervalued. I think there was maybe a wee spell where he was a bit quieter, but he was putting in 6, 7 out of 10s, mate. He's never been out honking. He's never been honking, not to my memory. And I certainly think he's a 20-year-old who joined us. I think he's 21 now. Is that right? He's 21. He turned 21 after he joined us. At that age, moving from Germany to Scotland, so it'll be like his second move of his life. But, Scotland, it's -7, the commentator said tonight, they thought, in Glasgow. There's loads of other reasons as well, by the way, that it takes adapting and all that sort of stuff, as well as the pressure that comes with playing for Glasgow Celtic, first and foremost. And I just feel that we've got to give him more adapting time, or we've got to be more patient with a player like that. And I think there's been too many that have been overly critical at Arne Engels, if I'm totally honest with you. What we're now seeing is, a player who's getting into his groove, is settling into the team, and is making things happen for us, and he's a real focal point in that midfield. He's constantly looking for the ball. He pops up in the left-hand side of the opposition box, the right wing, he's putting in crosses. He takes all the set pieces. He's tidy when he's under pressure in the middle of the park. He can put in a tackle. He's bringing all the characteristics we were looking for him to bring right now. And I think it's time just get the price tag out your head and look at this as a 21-year-old playing for Celtic and go, fucking hell, we've got a player here. Because there's not many 21-year-olds that I've seen play for Celtic in midfield and be able to boss it the way he has of late. So he deserves absolute kudos for that. And again, you were looking for why the anomaly of the Ibrox game. Engels didn't start that game. Interesting. Just one of the reasons, I'm sure. I know there was many. I'm not saying it was just because of that. But I'm sure that was a factor as well, such as the form that he's been on. But of course, the goal comes. If it can't be Nicholas Kuhn, and let's hope that injury isn't too serious, it's Daizen Maeda. And they are in a race, mate, to be Celtic's Player of the Year. And as I said to you before, I think Nicholas Kuhn might be the bookie's favourite, as it were, to be Celtic's Player of the Year this year. But Daizen Maeda ain't out that race. He is not out that race. 3 goals and 6 in the Champions League. That's his 6th league goal, I think, tonight. He scored in the League Cup. This guy's on absolute fire just now for Celtic. And again, like we've spoke about on the channel, mate, his finishing has just got all this composure that we never associated him before. That one again tonight. It's placed in the bottom corner, mate, with complete calm, perfect sort of temperament to take it. No wild squaffs at it. Knows exactly what he's doing. Executes it perfectly. The calm danger Maeda.
Everybody around him's losing their head. He keeps his. So it was quite chaotic because Dundee United were caught in possession just on the edge of the box. McCowan did well to win it back. Then he has a shot which the keeper parries back out again and falls to Maeda. And as with this new improved version, he slots it coolly into the corner. But I mean, you could think back to any of the previous seasons, and that could end up at the corner flag or in Rosette. So very, very, very composed. I did hear somebody else on one of the pods over the weekend or early in the week say that they wouldn't mind seeing him get a run through the middle with Kyogo and Maeda both putting in sort of subpar performances. And I hadn't really thought about that one again, but just is there an argument? I know we don't really have anyone to replace him on the left hand side, but
well, there's a comment that comes in here, Terry. I don't know if you can pronounce that. I can't pronounce his name, so I don't want to even try.
The commenter or Gerd Miller?
Yeah, the commenter. The commenters came in though and he's saying Gerd Muller wouldn't score goals for us. We don't make chances for strikers. I think that's a fair argument as well. You've really got to kind of carve them out yourself. If you look at, the most notable goal that Maeda scored, it was sort of just something out of nothing outside the box. He curled it in the top mid. But it's not like, you look at the Engels when he created for Kyogo where he side-footed it home for about 4 yards. You don't see many of those chances getting created, do we? It does seem to be that it's the focal point is the wingers and their ability to come in on their other foot from the wing that they're on, if that makes sense, and be able to get shots away and stretch defences. That the striker's almost up there just to occupy defenders and then allow that space. I've got to be honest, in my opinion, I know John Mulaney comes in here, or John Mulaney, and he's saying, is he this 9 million quid striker that we paid for, Russell? What I would say is, in terms of the value, he's a 9 million striker because that's what Celtic agreed to pay. But in terms of his involvement, I still feel he's more involved than what Kyogo is. I still feel that right now he seems to get more touches. He seems to, as I'm saying there, occupy defenders a bit more. Now, I dare say, there's defenders in the SPL right now going, shut up, mate. That Kyogo gives me nightmares playing up against him with all the runs he goes on. And that may well be the case. Just from, a viewer's point of view, when you're watching it, it feels like he's more involved in Celtic's attack and play. Albeit, in terms of quality that he's brought, I've been a bit disappointed in that in the last 2 starts he's had.
Yeah, I know that you were sort of campaigning for him to get a couple of games, and I thought he'd been replaced again tonight, so I was interested to see that he got a second start. I think he just needs something to fall for him and just, get a couple of goals and sort of ignite his season. He hasn't really taken off yet, and we're nearly halfway through. So I think a couple of goals would help him. And just going back on Engels, I think I'd said again at the weekend, that's really the only bit that's missing from his game now, is to start chipping in with goals from open play. But he is popping up in all the right areas, so I'm sure that'll change. Kyogo's we're no longer creating that template goal. If you remember, we talked about it under Postecoglou, where the centre forward was the focal point for him, and the purpose of the build-up and the inverted fullbacks and the underlapping that they've done. How many times did you see that same goal where somebody got
totally
right about the edge of the 6-yard box on the byline, cut it back, Kyogo's running across the defender. He scored the same goal maybe a dozen times, maybe even more than that in the 2 seasons that he played under Ange. And Kyogo was signed with that style of football. When the manager came in, that was his first signing. He knew what way he wanted to play, and he knew the type of striker that would suit that style of play. But Kyogo's had to adapt to that. The team have had to adapt to a different way of playing. And I know he's still a young lad, but he's maybe just finished peak years, or he's just coming to the end of peak years. And
yeah, he's 30 this month.
Yeah, there's maybe just a natural sort of drop off there as well. And the way Kyogo plays, the energy that he plays with, the pressing, the closing down. You know what? If he's played like that all throughout his career, maybe he's an older 30-year-old than some other 30-year-olds because of the way he's played, because of the
high octane nature of it,
the niggling injuries that he's had and things like that. So maybe there is a drop off. Maybe he is just ever so slightly on the wane. Add into that, you're playing in a different style with a different manager who historically hasn't really utilized centre forwards that play like Kyogo plays. So I think all of those things together. Kyogo's not firing on all cylinders. Ida's not firing on all cylinders. Maeda is firing on all cylinders, but if you give him a run through the middle, would he continue to do that?
Well, if you were going to give him a run through the middle, that would mean, Terry, we would need to play someone else out wide left. Now, the debate for me rages on about Yang. That's another start he got tonight. The second half, there was a 5-minute spell. He was hooked right after it, so fair enough. The manager recognised this is again not going to be his night. How he keeps getting these starts, I'll never know. I've got no understanding of it. I don't want to be too harsh on a young lad as well who I spoke about, Engels adapting, but he's been here, 18 months? A year? 18 months? 18 months it'll be now.
Yeah.
I mean, he's shown nothing. He shows nothing. He's not got the stomach for it either. That's one of the main things you need to have is first and foremost, before you even get a ball out, the bag of balls, you've got to have it up there and you've got to have the stomach for it. And he's not got that, in my opinion. He was bullied off the ball at the start of the second half with such ease by a Dundee United defender. Right, okay, that's not his game. So what is his game? He's good technique. Okay, there's a 5-yard radius of space to put a cross in from the right-hand side. Doesn't beat first man. It's bouncing before it's even reached the 6-yard box, and it's cleared with ease. It's just he's not good enough. I've got to be honest and contrast and compare with what I've seen from another winger at Celtic, who is the focal point of all the criticism. I even heard a boo on the telly when he came on. There was very little applause from him coming on, but see, to hear a boo, I thought, that's shite patter, to be honest with you. And that's Lewis Palma. Lewis Palma tonight, as a goalkeeper making a worldie of a save. He gets a shot away, it then comes back to him, he lays off Hatate, who has a shot that just goes over the bar. He also puts in, for the second goal, that outrageous pass with the outside of the boot, which causes utter havoc. Then Bernardo, you want to claim being the architect of it, before Hatate smashes it in the roof of the net. But that's Palma's involvement in 15 minutes, mate. It's so much more than I've seen in 15 games for fucking Yang. This is what I'm not understanding, Terry. And I feel he's getting such a raw deal for the fans. And I do think the new generation are so consumed with social media posts, and maybe Palma falls in that trap as well and shouldn't have bothered posting some of the cryptic pish that he has. But get over it. It's about what he does on the park. And if you honestly think this guy's been that criminally bad that he warrants getting groans or no applause or no encouragement coming on, and in one case a boo, I'm shocked at that because I'm watching a different fucking game. The Palma I seen that came on in 15 minutes, I'll go back to it, did more than that 15-minute cameo than Yang has in 15 games for Celtic. I don't get as well, for the manager's point of view, because let's be real here, he continuously fancies Yang above Palma. And I think it must come down to a work ethic and training or something like that. It cannot be a footballing decision because it just baffles me beyond belief. And yes, we might need another winger. But in the meantime, if Kuhn's not fit and Forrest isn't fit, and you're giving me the choice between Palma and Yang, it's Palma 11 times out of 10. No two ways in my mind about that.
So how would you perm that one then? Would you go Palma on the right and keep Maeda on the left, or swap Maeda to the right?
No, I'd keep Maeda in his most effective position and let Palma play. Palma's right-footed. He can play out wide right. I know he's not got electric pace to go down the line, but I think he's not got the worst left foot in the world either. Again, you can bet your bottom dollar on the right he'll do more than what Yang did.
Aye. We're sort of at risk of just saying the same things again. I had hopes for Yang, but there's just it's not going to happen. There's no output. There's no end product. I think he's only been involved in about 4 goals in that whole period. Now, he doesn't start very often, but he's had plenty of game time, and I think he's at about 4 goal involvements, and that might be being generous. But if you remember when Palma first came in and he was playing every single week, he was involved in goals either by scoring them or assisting them almost every single game. And if he was, regardless of whether you think he's got the right attitude, whether you think he's good enough or not, if Palma played every single game and played 70 to 80 minutes of every single game, I think his stats at the end of the season, he would have about 30 goal involvements.
I mean, Stephen Ray comes in, good to have you back on the bus, Stephen, mate. And he's saying Palma has 21 goal contributions for Celtic, roughly 1 every 95 minutes. Yang has 4, 1 every 300 minutes plus. That doesn't surprise me at all. So there's a goal contribution nearly every game that Palma's playing, 95 minutes, and it's 300 minutes plus between getting.
And when Palma was regularly starting, that's what you were getting from. There were games where he maybe didn't do an awful lot else, but he was getting goals and he was getting assists. He's just become, I think he's just become sort of the new Mikey Johnson. It's It's just an automatic
that's a great way of putting
automatic
it.
reaction when you see him coming on. You're just expecting the worst, and then.
What do you think of the reasoning behind it, Terry? Are you convinced it's purely what he's done in the park? Because I think he has had a really disappointing second half of the season, but he was in and out the side a lot. And his performances did dip a bit. But it seems quite extreme, the level of sort of disdain and dislike he gets. And I mean, you go in the Twitter during the second half, every second post, Palma's pish. But in the park like 3 minutes. I'm like, it seems concerted, and I'm convinced it's other stuff, like a social media post that I think one of them had said something like he wanted to redouble his effort or he wanted to work harder or something like that. And folk read it as he was taking a dig at not being in the, he was aiming a dig at not being in the team. And then like the translation of it was like, kind of looked like he said he was needing to work harder to get in the team. That was one example. There must be something that I've missed because I just don't get it. But anyway, moving on.
Just remember that game, probably the one game where he has started this season. I know it was only a friendly, but was the game against Sligo, and he walked away with a hat trick, and he got abuse that night as well. He got abuse that night because he was a first team, a recognised first team player, and he didn't look very interested, didn't do very much in the game, but he walked away with the match ball. Do you think he'll start the next game? One for me. I do find him frustrating.
Do you think he'll start the next game?
Do I think he'd start the next game? If Kuhn's fit, no.
Sorry, I was meaning it on the basis of if Nicholas Kuhn and James Forrest are out. He can't go Yang again, surely, or Wang.
away from home. I don't know, Bhoycie. I don't know. That will be an interesting one. Hopefully, Kuhn's fit.
Hopefully Kuhn's fit and just eradicates it from the debate. You're spot on. Terry, before we go, because we are going to be on half an hour. I know you've got work in the morning, as do I. The song sheet from the Green Brigade, I thought, to be honest with you, was a great retort to the madness of the two pressers for Brendan. That I kind of get his point at times with some of it, but it was all loaded, and he'd went into that first press that we got caught off the hop with on the P.M.P, if you remember. We hadn't seen it. I watched it straight after the show, and I could have went back live with you after that, Terry, to be honest with you, because I thought, fucking, he's went in and you could see it. You could see it in his eyes. That was coming out. The question could have been like, "What's your favourite cheese?" And he was just going to come out with that rant about backwards passes getting groaned at and complained at, and how it's not right, and you've got to support the team, etc. He had it loaded. Then the Greg Taylor thing came up, and he kind of doubles down on his moans, and instantly that was disrespectful, saying about Tierney and stuff. So we then had him coming out saying if he's not going to beat about the bush if the bush is there to be spoke about. I'm like, right, Brendan, whatever, man, some fucking analogy that is. But when it comes down to it, carried that on. He didn't put that fire out yesterday, that's for sure. But he did. He probably tempered it a bit, kept it to a few flames.
He didn't double down on it.
He didn't double down on it, but he didn't put it out either. Is that fair?
Yeah, it is.
Right.
My thoughts around. Obviously, I only watched Sunday's game on the telly, but we've had chat with some of the guys who were in the stadium, and there didn't seem to be boos that were anything or groans that were anything out of the normal. I mean, I remember being at a European game when Neil Lennon passed the ball back from the halfway line to Rob Douglas, and virtually the whole stadium in unison booed, and it was really noticeable. You couldn't have missed it, but I didn't hear anything coming through on the telly on Sunday. And again, Phil and Mark and the guys at the game, they weren't reporting anything that was outrageous. So
but I hope he comes out and defends Palma the same way, because
he's wanted to cause a scene. In terms of the Greg Taylor stuff, nobody made any reference to Greg Taylor except for Brendan Rodgers. It was him that brought Greg Taylor into the discussion.
Totally.
Singing a song about Kieran Tierney isn't a slight on Greg Taylor. He's made it about Greg Taylor.
Totally.
Why did he not mention disrespectful to Alex Baye? Why did he not mention that Kieran Tierney coming in could be disrespectful to Austin Trusty or Liam Scales, because Kieran Tierney now plays as much as a left centre back as he does as a left full back. He's decided he wanted to make that about Greg Taylor, and that's the bit that I just don't understand. And the last thing you need to be doing when things are going reasonably well, you've got a healthy lead, you're on the verge of qualifying in the Champions League. The last thing you need to do is to sort of self-implode and start causing issues that aren't there. And I just think he's created an issue that wasn't there. For whatever reason.
I've got a feeling that there's been an upset Greg Taylor in the tunnel, and I think Brendan's jumped the gun in his reaction. But what you need to remember, the chronological order of that press conference was he went all in on the passing back first, so the fans were getting both barrels before he's even got to the Taylor bit. So that was one interesting bit. What you've got to admire, though, if there was a response, at least for once, it wasn't in the form of a stupid fucking statement by the Green Brigade. I'm glad it wasn't a big dramatic banner, which I equate to trying to get likes for tweets and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? All that stuff. Instead, it was in my favourite form of retort, and that was in the art of comedy. And they went through the song sheet, did they not? Starting with Mr. Larson, we had the Scott Sinclair song, we had the Holy Goalie getting sang, Jot on the wing. I just thought that is how to play this. That is exactly the right way. And for all his crabbitness and all his fake rage and all that, Brendan, there must have been a bit of him at the back of the head going, all right, you got me. Because they even signed Martin O'Neill at the end. I fucking would have drawn the line at him singing Postacoglu Ole. But the Martin O'Neill one, because they know they'd get away with that because Martin's Northern Irish and Brendan and them, they'll be pals. And it was years ago he managed us. But if they signed the Postacoglu one, I'd have went, wait, the fucking knew. But I just thought as a retort, that's the sort of way to respond to if you think someone's questioning you. Hey, Paddy. If you think someone's questioning you and doubting your knowledge of football, as you were talking about at the start of the show, or dictating to you how to support the team, perfect. We're gonna retort by making how foolish your comments look by flagging up how many other great players there are that have played for Celtic that we also have songs about, and see if you're going to come out and defend, yourself in the case of Martin O'Neill, Maeda in the case of Jota, or Sinclair and stuff like that. I thought that to me that's the perfect way to reply. What's your thoughts on that, Terry? Because it was good banter.
That was exactly what my thoughts were whenever I first heard his comments. Can you not sing about Henrik Larsson now in case you upset Adam Maeda, who isn't as good as Henrik Larsson? Can you not sing about, I don't know, Jimmy Johnson on the wing? Is that going to annoy Nicholas Kuhn? I just do not understand where he's gone with it. And I know you said there that you think that he's possibly seen an upset Greg Taylor, but when he was talking about it, why Greg Taylor went down the tunnel, he said yesterday it was because he got a broken nose. So
yeah, he did say broken nose, didn't he? I didn't make that up.
Yeah. So I don't believe for 1 second that Greg Taylor's pissed off down the tunnel early.
That is one of the rumours.
The fans have been singing it about Kieran Tierney. I just don't know why the manager has, he's obviously, I don't know whether it's he's annoyed about the performance last Thursday, and that's still brewing, and I don't know, I think it's just one of those Brendan Rodgers moments. You can point out other ones where you're just going, what's he doing? Like the Gucci belt and the thinking he can speak Spanish, and there's just things that he's done at times, and you're just going, why has he done that? And I just can't work out why he's decided to cause a fuss when there's no need for it whatsoever. And he's caused a bit of unrest. I mean, he's talked about the Holy Trinity and everything being joined up, and he's kind of thrown a grenade in there that's risking that unity. And I just don't understand what the point of it was. And
I think it's summed up.
When January's finished, maybe it'll become a bit more clear. Maybe he is really, really keen to retain Taylor, and he feels that he's not had the backing on that. there's possibly a scenario where he doesn't want Kieran Tierney and others at the
It's
club.
going above his head. Yeah.
Others at the club are pushing that one because if you remember when Robbie Keane was brought in, Tony Mowbray, his nose was out of joint because he wanted to play Scott McDonald, and he was basically being forced.
Diamansi Kamara.
But he was being forced to play Robbie Keane ahead of Scott McDonald. So, and I'm sure that's not the case, but I'm just sort of scratching my head trying to work out what was his motive, because I don't think for 1 second it was Greg Taylor is so upset because Celtic supporters have sang the name of a player that used to play for him. I don't know.
Yeah, the whole thing's been weird. But yes, right, we'll call it there. 36 minutes. That's been good fun, mate. And over 200. There was 250 at one point live. So massive shout out to you all. It's an absolute pleasure for us to be able to come on after the games and talk Celtic with you all. To that many people, it's mad. But we'll keep going. We'll keep going. Cheers for that, Terry, because I know you've got work tomorrow, mate, as do I.
It's not only that, I'm actually looking after the house this week because my wife's away working in England. So
that is dangerous.
At work, I've got the house, I've got kids, uniforms, meals, cleaning, all that kind of jazz. I don't know how she does it. I don't know how she does it.
I bet. Amazing,
Listen,
mate.
I'll catch you Saturday. So we're 12 kickoff Saturdays.
That's right.
I actually ballsed up. I just remember, I for some reason I thought we were playing Dundee all week. I thought it, and I remembered saying on Sunday in the post match that McKeown playing against his former team. I was just convinced we were playing Dundee. I only realised whenever the game started. I said, "Fuck! I thought we were playing Dundee." I just got confused. One of them moments. Anyway,
that's all right, mate. Right, we'll see you all later. Cheers for that.
Let you go.